Hello, Ladyboss family. So excited to be here today. My name's Ashley Simmons, and just kind of a little bit about me and my background. I started my banking career when I was a part-time teller actually in college, and I quickly learned that banking is really about people, and I just fell in love with the whole industry. And my career really developed from helping customers to helping team members. And so coaching team members as well as really become my passion. And so I'm so excited and thrilled to be here with you today to talk about really having some easy steps to reach your savings goals with some basic strategies to really make it easy for you. So let's go ahead and dive in. So I love this quote. This is from Susie Orman. People first, then money, then things, right? This really captures my feelings about what banking and money should be defined as. We always want to put people first, and how do we serve our customers and how do we serve our team members is how we want to approach the money conversation too, and that's why we're here today. Money management can be so empowering for us and helping us achieve those goals, as well as just serve us well every day in our life. So I would love to hear from our lady bosses out there. What are some of the things that you want to set goals to buy? So maybe we can fill some of that chat box back up. And again, any goal goes. It can be small, it can be medium, it can be a large size. We want to see what you're saving for. What are some things top of mind? Seeing vacations, a new house. Yeah. And keep those dreams coming. They can be small or they can be really big. A home remodel. I love it. Thank you for sharing some of those things. When I was a banker helping customers, one time I had a customer come in and they shared with me that they were saving up for an adoption for their first child. And that was so special to be a part of. And that's when I absolutely fell in love with helping people and helping them achieve their goals. So, but we know, even with any size goals, um, some things kind of hold us back, right? So if you were to think about what holds you back, what would that be? What stands in your way from getting to that home remodel, getting to that vacation? Maybe it's even saving up for a new dog, or maybe a new car. What stands in our way from that? Can be some of those barriers. Feel free to type those into the chat box. Oh, that's a good one, Ashton. Debt. Yeah, debt can definitely hold us back, right? And even on the deeper side of that, a lot of times it's confidence or maybe our lack of financial literacy. We haven't had that education that we cherish, right? Or that we want and desire for our lives. Maybe it's being a multitasker, right? How many of you say, hey, I handle a lot, I manage a lot. A lot of us as women can raise our hand and say that, right? And so money sometimes becomes not the priority that it should be. And some of us also rely on our partners or our spouse to be that financial leader, because we haven't taken it over, we haven't handled the bills, right? So the first step is recognizing those barriers in your ways. And also knowing that you have so many resources available, and we're going to help you through to see through those barriers. But the first step is, and Brandy talked about this too, is before we can save for our wants, we have to put our needs first, right? So we really need to factor in our needs. Creating that emergency fund for those large, unexpected expenses. I like to think of creating an emergency fund is it can kind of be uncomfortable, just like the cold weather in the winter, right? But when we prepare for that cold weather, we find the right jacket, we set our car up with an emergency traveling package, we feel more prepared to bear the cold, right? We're ready to go out in the cold. So same thing with an emergency fund. It helps us stay out of debt, which can be a big barrier for us to keep on saving. So think of, starting small. It's like putting that little side blanket that you have and throwing it in the car so that, hey, if I get stuck roadside, I at least have a blanket. That's what starting an emergency fund is like. So starting small, work to build somewhere between 6 to 8 months of expenses is really the goal. And also just setting a monthly goal. Like, I'm going to put this much amount towards my emergency fund with our budgeting, like Brandy talked about, into an account. So this is going to be my emergency fund account that I'm going to use when I need it, right? When there's an emergency. And then just another way to do that is using an easy access savings account. You can actually set up automatic transfers to that account. So you, again, can just kind of set it and forget it in a sense, knowing that you're building your emergency fund and you're doing those right things. And so again, it's all about finding what works best for you and finding the system that works best for you. So the second step is, once we know, hey, we need to factor in our needs and our emergency fund, we want to really spend some time identifying those needs versus the wants. Brandy used a great example of Starbucks. I love that example, right? Do we really need that Starbucks every day? Or is it something that we can change to a reward for ourselves, right? So, hey, I achieved this in my financial, goal, and I'm gonna, I'm gonna go have that macchiato today, and I'm not gonna feel bad about it because I earned it, right? So you can really start to change some of those needs to, a want, and feel empowered by that, and feel like you really earned it when you take that first step. The other part of reviewing some of those needs is really tracking your spending. So picking the budget that Brandy presented earlier, that's right for you. Like she said, she uses a mix of all of them. The money management tool kind of helps us identify all of the different spending that we do. So it will actually pull in all of your spending from all the different types of accounts that you use. So if you use a credit card, you can log into that credit card and it'll automatically categorize your spending. It'll show you, hey, Ashley, you're spending, $150 a month on coffee. And it has kind of that little, oh, okay, it's revealing. And again, that information can be so empowering. And then we know too is, prioritizing our saving over paying down debt. So this is kind of hard for some people to grasp, because I think in the mentality is we want to get rid of debt, we want to erase debt too. And so for us to prioritize savings and having that nice cushion can actually keep us from going into more debt. And it kind of saves us from that. So that's why that emergency fund is so powerful, because it can help prevent us from going into any further debt. And then after we've, set that that spending, we have a great way to spend our money that we feel confident and feel comfortable with. Then we're going to move into step 3, and we're going to say, hey, here's my goal. How much does it cost, right? So we assign a price to our goal. So for example, I know some of you said home remodeling, how much is that going to cost? And I don't know if any of you have ever done a home remodel project, but it always costs more than you budget for, right? Just always does than you anticipated. And the price of materials fluctuate. So, we don't know what the price of materials are going to be. So we want to really, again, give yourself some leverage of this goal might cost more, and maybe even planning for that extra in your savings too. Be really realistic with yourself. When we think of all the costs, we can give ourselves that cushion as we need, and we can really set ourselves up for success, right? Rather than disappointment and be short of our goal. So what are some ways to kind of just get that goal going, right? I call it revving up your savings. I think earlier we talked about like that unexpected or irregular income. That's a great way to rev up your savings. Tax returns is another good one. Maybe you got a bonus. Selling used items, that's a hot market right now. People sell their used stuff all the time. That's a great way to say, hey, I'm not using this bike, or I'm not using, that coffee table, whatever it may be, sell it. Get some extra cash, clear out your clutter. That's always a great thing. Cutting back on those extras that we talked about before. And then I love this idea, observe a no spend day now and again. So guess what? Every day of the month on this date is going to be my no spend date. And it's just kind of teaching yourself that discipline and taking kind of that joy to like, hey, I did it. I made it through a no spend day. And you can just really kickstart your savings this way. And getting that really strong start too makes us feel good, right? It's like that momentum push that pushes us forward, and we feel really good about it. So let's kind of break this down into an example. If you were to say, hey, I want to take my family of 4 to Italy, right? How exciting, right? That sounds amazing. Now what? A trip of a lifetime deserves some thoughtfulness. So think about the cost of going on the trip, from like those bigger priced items like airplane tickets, your hotel, to some of those smaller things that we don't always think of, like souvenirs or travel insurance even. So if we were to give this a price, assign it a price, we're looking at, maybe $4,000 around for airfare, accommodations. We're looking at transportation costs, right? Tours and activities, our food, our souvenirs, miscellaneous, and travel insurance. So this is just an example of, hey, I'm going to give myself this figure of, 12,150. How could I tangibly reach that goal? Well, you can do this in a couple ways. You can use your budgeting tool, right? That budgeting that you have for savings. Once you've kind of built up your emergency fund, you feel confident about that. Then you could take 20% of your annual salary if you're really aggressive, and you can handle that, and you can save quickly 20%, $13,000 in 12 months. You can have that, 10% of 65,000. So this is just a simple math of, taking 20% savings if you can afford 20% savings, and if you want to be really aggressive about that goal. So these are just some examples. It might even be 5%. It could just be even starting at 2 or 3% that I'm going to dedicate to my trip to Italy. It's really about what works best for you and something you can truly, commit to. And many of us know this, that a dream becomes a goal when we have a deadline, right? So set a timeline, set a strategy, but don't beat yourself up when we don't reach it. It's okay to try again. It's okay to reevaluate and find out what continuously works for you. These are just some other tools that you can use to help you, again, achieve those ways of saving. So we have like a Simply Save program. A lot of banks offer that, where they'll round up your purchase. So say you go to, go to the grocery store and it's, $49.10. It'll take that extra 90 cents and put it right into your savings account. So it's just another great way to kind of be saving all the time. We also have the money management tool we've talked about, and you can set automatic transfers. So a lot of times banks offer free automatic transfers from your checking to your savings. And, at the end of this, be open to talking to a banker, going to talk to somebody who can help you and help decide what the best route is for you, and get that really personalized approach as well. And this is my absolute favorite step. After we track our progress, create accountability. We know that we need that accountability for ourselves. Make a money date, right? Many successful people have created self-care dates, scheduling time for themselves. Maybe it's to go to Target, like Brandy talked about, or it's going to get a pedi and a mani. Maybe it's just having that time to read a book under a tree. Whatever it is that we need to center ourselves to feel mentally strong and physically centered, this is the same thing that goes for money, right? So to keep ourselves accountable, we can have a money date. Maybe you meet with your partner or your spouse and you discuss, where you're at with your progress. What did the spending look like last month? Were there any surprises, or do we have any new expenses that we're factoring in now? Many people are going back to work. Childcare is a new expense we're factoring into our budgets again. So looking at all of those different variables and just being really honest. And again, we know it's a scary conversation, but when you take that first step and you practice that, having that courage to talk about money, it becomes more comfortable. It's kind of like riding a bike. We get more comfortable as we keep going and keep learning. But remember, if you fall off the track from time to time, we all do, it's okay. You don't have to feel completely derailed. It's just get back up again, try something new, maybe change your tactic a little bit or tweak your process a little bit, to keep moving and keep making progress on your goals is so important. And of course, celebrate those milestones. Get the small wins. Don't wait for a big accomplishment to celebrate. Celebrate the small wins. Maybe you made it 2 paychecks with putting money aside for savings. That's awesome. You should feel really proud of yourself. Rewarding ourselves for a discipline can also kind of make accountability fun, and want us to earn it again. So don't be afraid to treat yourself to that macchiato at Starbucks once in a while. And as we kind of combined all the thoughts here, I think Susie puts it best here: live below your means, but within your needs. Finding that balance with anything in life is going to be key to sustainability, right? Feeling confident. Money can be really empowering. And do the next right thing. Make the next best choice for yourself. It can just start with something small, to get yourself going. So we've also curated some resources for you to kind of, if you want to keep the thoughts going, keep your conversation going. We have our Women in Money podcast by Susie Orman. That's a good one. We have a book, Clever Girl Finance book, and Wise Woman Wallet. So I know there's tons of resources out there. These are just some more to kind of keep us encouraged, because I know when I'm trying to focus on something, whether it's clean eating or it's growing myself, I have to keep hearing and reading from those experts. I have to keep myself energized, and it's the same with finances. When we start to put ourselves with around like-minded people of what we're trying to accomplish, just like Ladyboss does, we start to feel empowered by it, right? We stay encouraged. So here's some resources for you. And I absolutely love connecting. So if you want to reach out at any time, I'm here to talk or point you in the right direction as well. So I'll leave it there. If there's some questions, Laura, from the chat box, or if anybody has any thoughts.
So if you're saving for a large, longer term goal, let's say we're saving for our trip to Italy, do you add in any short-term goals to kind of help you get excited for things along the way? Because if you feel like you're putting all of your extra towards saving for a goal that might not happen for 2 years, what helps you keep you motivated?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think so. I think setting little benchmarks for yourself, like the first $500, the next benchmark might be $1,000, and then when you get maybe to your halfway through, you go and buy an outfit for vacation. I think that's important, because you're right. Having that really long-term goal out might seem like you're not even close to it. So it's just taking that time to maybe really divvy it up. Do what works best for you. If you need to do a $500 bucket, a $1,000 bucket, a $1,500 bucket, whatever that goal helps you stay motivated and makes it achievable, I think that's so important to reward yourself with the Starbucks, or buy a pair of shoes for vacation, get those sunglasses you've been wanting and desiring for a while. Absolutely.
Another question I have is, how do you feel about the apps, or maybe Gate City can do this too, where every time you swipe your card somewhere, it'll put $1 or $2 or whatever you decide into your savings?
Yeah, it's a really great feature. I've seen a lot of banks offering it. And Gate City does too with our Simply Save. So yeah, if you swipe your card or round up to the next purchase, the nearest dollar amount, you can easily save money. And it's kind of that you don't really miss it. So it really does rev up your goals. Another thing is too is using using a card for spend, getting a card that rewards your purchases. That's also something that we offer here. But pick a card that helps you maybe get cash back. Is another great way to, again, you're already going to spend the money, and for your regular purchases, and then you can start to accumulate your points for cash back, which is another great kind of easy method to building that savings too.